Anthony, come with Daddy. Where is
I was on the phone. Your virgin ears. My drinking buddy.
Now, sister, can you go back down there with them? Oh, there. You guys stay there. If I could ask you guys to all come down here, please. Really good. The gathering.
Sorry, she's in all the
They've been doing this for 5 years.
This was part of the mission. How fast are you? We're good? You're good?
Okay. You got them? Yeah, no, I want you all to stay there. Okay? You're all going to stay there throughout this little circle thing. And Angela, if you can come to the front since you're the one that's going to be speaking. If you guys would all come in a little bit because Angela's going to say a couple things. But we need to be close because we don't have a mic. And she doesn't have a big voice as I do. Gather in, guys. Come on. Let's tighten up the group. Tighten up the group. Well, she's talking now. So that's all. All right, are we ready? We're ready. Angela, are you ready? Okay. It's all you.
How are you? How are you?
Alright, so there's a lot of you here today. Expecting to speak in front of this many people, and please don't hold your expectations high. I'm not my brother, I'm not my dad, so I'm just kind of not that great. But, so I thought I'd just share a funny little story with everybody and talk about the tree. So it was last week or so, I was getting ready to come here in Belmar and have this beautiful dedication for my mom. And there's so many things that I miss about my mom. And one of them, which I wasn't really expecting, was, hearing all her stories about what was going on in Belmar. What happened at the council meeting, what petition's going out, what petition needs to go back out because it wasn't right the first time, what's up on the blog. There's just so many things that it was just a constant flow of news. And one time we were on the phone and she was talking to me and I said, I'm getting another call, hold on a second. I go over, I take the other call, I'm talking for a minute, come back, and she's still going, just no idea. I put her on hold. She's still talking. So, I was like, I miss knowing about what's going on in Belmar. And I tried to ask Trina, what's new, what's kind of happening. She's like, it's too long, I can't tell you, it's not the right time. And Mom, if you're up there, be careful what you wish for, because boy, did I get thrown right back into it these past 2 days. I finally understand what so many of you have been dealing with. It is just crazy. I think the girls here today kind of saw it as well, kind of firsthand. So, thank you for letting me understand what you all had. But anyway, that's not why we're here today. First of all, welcome. I'm so happy that everyone could come here to celebrate my mom, Joy de Sanctus. I see so many familiar faces I haven't seen in months, and I know those are all my mom's close friends, her little posse, the element, her constituents, as she'd sometimes call them. Thank you for being here. To my family, my dad, my brother Matt, his wife Lauren, my nephew Anthony, Tony, Zuri, Kevin. Thank you for coming today. And finally, a big thank you to my sisters, as we're calling you now. But I just call them my best friends. And it's a group of 13 of us. And we're in a sorority together at the University of Delaware. When I first went through the rush process to become part of this, I thought, hey, I'd get some friends, we'd go out drinking, we'd go to tailgates, we'd borrow their clothes, it'd be fun. I never in a million years thought I'd ever get the friendships that I have today. And the gift that you've given me and the people here is just, it's tremendous. And it's perfect. It's perfect for so many reasons. I'm so touched. So I just want to say thank you again for doing this. It means so much to me. I'm so thrilled. You know, when they first told me that I was getting, they were going to dedicate a tree to my mom here in Belmar, you know, I was really overwhelmed with emotion. And it's something that I've always wanted. I've seen, you know, benches and gardens all dedicated. And first of all, I would just never have the nerve to call the town of Belmar and ask them to do something like this. So the fact that they took that on, I was like, good, go for it. You got it. And you know, it wouldn't have been something I would do, but you know, the word just perfect always comes to mind, and I'll tell you why. So, growing up, I realized I have a lot of memories of being in the car with my parents. And we spent a lot of time in the car. We would go look at beach houses in Belmar and Avon and Bradley Beach. You know, sometimes we'd go into an open house. A lot of times we would just be in the car, driving around, just looking at houses. I don't know what that accomplished, but we just spent a lot of time driving.
We're always looking for a beach house.
Looking at houses. So, you know, I was in the car then. We would drive around and look at crazy mailboxes. That was an activity that we did as a family. And we'd also look at landscaping. You know, we'd drive around and we knew certain houses that had hedges and bushes. What were they going to do this year? And it was spring. We were excited to see it. The patients they planted. There was just always a lot of talk about trees, and it was just a big part of my life, not only in the car, but then also when on the weekends, gardens. My mom loved being outside. She loved planting flowers, making her little stone walls around the pond, whatever she was doing. My brothers and I, we were often recruited in for doing chores. So myself, Tony, Matt, we would have to mulch, weed, dig holes. We did this, and well, by we, I mean them. It was unfortunate. It was just a coincidence that whenever we had to be outside doing chores, I had a sensitive stomach. So I worked out that I couldn't be there. So but I did want to be there, you know, she just loved to be outside and doing that. I couldn't. You know, so we had that, and just the idea, she would love this. If my mom was here right now, she would absolutely love the idea that we're planting this beautiful tree to remember her. And the other reason why this is so perfect is I love the fact that there's going to be something here permanent in Belmar to remember my mom.
Daddy.
It's not going to be today, but it will be one day. I promise. This tree will be here. You know, right around the time that she got diagnosed is also when she first became so passionate about Belmar. I think probably people here would agree that the town needed joy. The town needed that voice, someone to spearhead, to get people motivated, to get people excited to do something. And my mom also really needed this town. You know, it was a point in her life when she was unable to control so many things, when because of her sickness she had to stop working full time, and that was hard. And this town, the causes that she fought for, it was just there to fill a void. She could just pour all of her energy and her passion into this, and it's something that myself, my family, we could never give her. We could be there and love her and support her, but it's really all of you. It's these friendships that she created. You know, she told me one time, she's like, my friends really love me. It was like, you know, they call me, they want to know what I think. Like, everyone wants to know what I have to say. And she loved that. She cherished it. It was so important. Getting those phone calls, writing the emails, it gave a purpose, it validated her, and it is exactly what she needed. You know, when I think of her group of friends here, the word that comes to mind sometimes is carried, because I feel like you all carried her through so many difficult times, so many times that she was struggling, and the fact that she could just leave this one world and go into a different world where her opinion mattered and she was important and she was doing good, it's just so remarkable. So just a huge thank you. And this tree is just always going to remind me of that. It's going to remind me of how important she was here in town, and that she's not going to be forgotten. We're going to have a plaque. You know, I know when I drive by, I'm always going to remember this. I hope that you do too, and maybe people will walk by, they'll see it, they'll be like, oh, that was that crazy blonde lady. will Google her, and that will be a surprise for them. You know, it's absolutely great. So I'm so happy. I thank you all so much. And now I would just like to open it up. If anyone else would like to come up and say a few words, you're more than welcome. But thank you all.
Anyone?
I will say something. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to all the girls who have helped organize. And I thought we could maybe share a couple memories if anyone feels comfortable of Joy, and I can start. So I remember the first time I met Angela's mom was at the mother-daughter brunch where all our moms came with us. And I remember thinking, oh my God, Angela's mom is so beautiful. And sorry. And she contributed to so many memories for us during our 4 years. Starting with Easter egg hunt that they organized for us over Easter weekend when a lot of the girls couldn't go home to be with their families, and they came down to Delaware and they set up all these Easter eggs.
We were 20 years
Easter eggs in the backyard. Also, all the summer Memorial Day
Easter eggs had
parties.
$20 bills in them. It's the best holiday ever.
All the parties that they hosted at their house, and they welcomed us in with open arms and hosted us, I think, up to how many girls in your basement? 34 girls in your basement. And always, made us feel right at home. And then during the years that I lived with Angela in Spain, I remember her parents coming, and they were just the coolest parents. They were down for anything, down for trying anything, and we just had so much fun with them. And then senior year, when we were involved in a dance competition, of course, her mom had the crazy idea to help Angela get on stilts and taped her feet to large trash cans and sewed sheets into pants. Those are some of the top of mind things. And also just being our biggest fan on Facebook in years, liking all of our pictures, commenting how beautiful we all are. And I know all the stories from Angela's mom, and just, I love you to death. I love your mom to death, and I'm happy that we can all come together today and celebrate her and share memories. Those are the top ones that come to mind, and it's so wonderful to see you guys all here as part of this.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the Belmar element that, not to correct Angela, that Joy is very much here today with us. And more than true. She represents all the friendships, all the hard work, all the people she brought together. She cared passionately about the town and all the people in the town and her neighbors. In terms of poor Angie's recent experience about being reintroduced to the things that Joy was so passionate about, I can only tell you, Ange, that Joy would have expected it. Off the toss. And she probably would have guided us always. I remember a difficult time that we all had together, and all of you who were there will know this immediately, when we all gathered at Carmine's house, wondering what the next step was going to be on a particularly adventurous journey into the legal system. Thanks to our Ken Pringle, that it turned out to be a walk in the park. But Joy's attitude was, just sleep on it, Mike. Don't worry about it. It'll be better in the morning. Don't be worried. Don't get upset. Just relax. It'll be better in the morning. And you know what? She was absolutely right. She was right about a lot of things. And the one thing I want to say is, in as much as her personal passion for her children, her friends, and all that was expressed unbelievably, her passion for this community was also expressed unbelievably. And to my absolute shock, she performed under conditions that most of us, matter of fact, 99% of us had no idea. And that, to me, on a personal note, makes it even that much more phenomenal. So I want to thank everybody also for coming out. I want to thank all the people here whose lives Joy touched, and we'll never forget it.
Any more sisters want to
I'd just like to add that Joy was the only person on earth I could call at 6 o'clock in the morning to talk about politics. She was always ready. That was me calling at 6, just so you all know, because it couldn't wait till 8 or 9. It had to be talked about then. And I've made this joke before, but I have to say it again, that I really owe a great deal of gratitude to Matt Doherty for bringing us all together, because without all of these shenanigans, we would have never had a reason to come together and fight together. And it's been so much. It was so much fun with her, and it didn't even matter if we won or lost. I guess it's better to win, but just it was so much fun, and I'm really gonna miss her having her as part of the group here, part of the scene, and just want to also note that. There's been occasionally some acts of retribution against some of us in the element. At least we suspect that there were retribution. I don't want to go into details, but whenever anything would happen to any of us, she would always be more mad than the person who would actually happen to. And she would never drop anything if anything happened to any of us. A couple of things, minor things happened to me, and that I was willing to just let go by, but not Joy, So she, talked me into following it through and doing the right thing in every case. I just miss her so much.
I just want to say on that note that there was a few guys that used to really call Joy early in the morning besides you. And sometimes, she had just finished treatments, And I said, she would pop up out of bed like she had been drinking coffee from 5 o'clock in the morning and have this lengthy conversation. And I would say, why don't you just tell them, I'm sleeping? She said, no, don't you ever say anything about that. Because she talked to you and Jim, and it was just ongoing.
And I feel bad. I used to call her on Mondays sometimes. I didn't know what she was going to New York for. I thought it was just some kind of social, you would have dinner with friends every Monday, and some kind of just social thing that you would do. And I never knew that she was feeling so poorly. And I used to call sometimes on Mondays, and she always called.
Because she loves you.
And of course, through Joy and her involvement with the town, of course now I've become friends with so many people, and it's given me the privilege of knowing so many. So I thank you.
Okay, I got to get in on this. I got to get in on it.
Wait.
Because.
Wait.
Wait.
I'm off the video.
I was privileged to meet Joy about politics. I met her on Anita Sanzio's front porch in the very beginning of the stuff that was going on here in Belmont. And I remember the moment I met her, Anita said, you have to come over, some ladies coming over, and you got to listen to her. Right? But little did I know what was going to happen from that meeting. Because Joy had a light about her that everyone here knows. And she had the ability to draw people to her in her little petite, little beautiful self. And I got a phone call in early September 2013 from Joy, and she said, Trina, I'd like to meet with you. I want to talk to you about something. So I thought I was going to meet with Joy, and she was going to drag me into some other political battle that she had lined up. But little did I know that we went over to the turnstile, met her there, and she sat across from me, and she said, I have something terrible to tell you. Now you have to understand, I didn't really know Joy hardly at all at that point. We had been to a couple meetings, I had listened to her speak a couple times, I had met her with Anita, but I didn't really know her that well. And she sat across from me and she said, I've been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And as one can well imagine, my mouth dropped open and I was, for once, speechless. Doesn't happen often to me, but I was speechless. And Joy proceeded to tell me that there was something about me that she felt comfortable with.
and she wanted to share with me her concerns for the future, her concerns for her family, her daughter, her sons, her grandson, who, thank God, he wasn't born yet, but that came and she was able to see that. But she went on to me about what this was going to do to Carmine and to her family. And she wanted somebody to share it with. And I cannot tell you how privileged and awestruck I was by that, because who was I? But as I was standing there, in my back pocket, I had this little thing. And this is called a holding cross. And my mom had passed away the month before, on Eugene's birthday, by the way, just so we didn't forget. And I had this in my back pocket, and as Joy was talking to me, I reached in my back pocket and I felt this. And I was with an overwhelming sense of the Spirit. I took this out and I said to her, Joy, whatever you need from here on out, we'll walk together. And I believe in my heart of hearts that Joy DeSanctis and I came together because of the Holy Spirit. Because Joy needed someone to walk with, and I was a fortunate person who was able to share the light of God with her during this time. Because you might know or might not know, Joy was a very spiritual woman, but she was not a church-going person. And I believe that probably all of us at the end of our life, when we're faced with some tragedy, like Joy was looking on, knowing imminent death was coming, she was searching to go home. And I feel so privileged and so blessed that Joy and I were able to walk that walk together. I was one of the only people that knew that Joy was sick. And through all of these 3.5 years that we all journeyed together, I know Joy has given me the greatest gift, because one of the things she said to me was, Trina, I want you to look after my family. I want you to keep an eye on my daughter when she gets married, and I want you to be there for my sons and my husband. And I want Eugene to be friends with Carmine and share. And the amazing thing is, for everything that she gave me, the only thing I was allowed to do was give back to her some semblance of a connection to our Savior. I took her to our church. She met my pastor. He was kind enough to do her service. It was beautiful for any of you who were there. I feel so gifted and blessed to have been able to walk the journey with Joy. There aren't words. There aren't words to describe it. I just want to thank you, my Joyous, because you've given me more in the 3 years than I can ever repay to her. So we're going to keep up the good fight. We're going to stay focused on what's important in life, which to Joy was her family, but most of all, her friends and everyone around her. She just loved people, and she had a courageous spirit. And I just am so thankful to you, Joy, that you allowed me in, and I was able to share.
Just a little side note. Joy was a very private person. She didn't even tell her sisters, her brother. She didn't want anybody to know. She didn't want to be defined by her cancer. She didn't want it to be all about how's the chemo going, oh, you look good today, or you look bad. But she said, I met this woman, and I don't know. She said, there's something special about her. And she says, I think I'm going to confide in her. And, she told me your name, but I didn't know you either at that time. So I said, well, if that's going to make you feel better, then I think you should do it. So Trina was literally, except for her children and myself, she was the only person, and Eugene, that knew that Joy was sick. And they did have a special bond, and she spoke often about you and how much she loved you. So I'm glad you're in our life.
Except Eugene comes as a part of that deal.
The man has kept me in stitches for the last 6 months.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the people who got the
was the next step in the journey she led us on. I was by myself. I had no way to talk to anybody. I read it, and it was a odd, weird, didn't have access to the internet at the time. I had my phone, but for whatever reason, it came through. And
Could you speak up a little bit?
sorry, for whatever reason, I didn't have access to the internet, had not for several hours, and for whatever reason, it came through on my phone. And I read it, not expecting it. I was expecting something about our next war or something. So, I was overwhelmed by that email. And it took me, honestly, days and weeks to process the emotions from that email. The overwhelming one, actually, there were conflicting ones. One was a sense of personal loss, not just in losing this person I had been come to be really close with in terms of our work relationship. She actually apologized in the email for holding back with a lot of us on being close friends, that she kind of kept it at distance, which I'd always felt, but didn't think much of. And then when I kind of realized why she had done that, I was like, but I was overwhelmed by the sense of personal loss for me, for the community, for this fierce, brilliant fighter who was tireless and utterly fearless, but also by the extraordinary generosity of that, how she chose to spend these months when most people would be looking for the easiest, least conflict, ridden time of their lives, and yet Joy would have none of that. Joy wanted to make every minute of her life matter and mean something and be important, and she gave that gift to us, and that was the part that overwhelmed me. It still does, to think about it. It took me a long time to write back to her after that, and I still have a hard time with that mix of emotions. But she gave us an amazing gift. I don't mean just the things she did, but the way she approached the issues that we faced, and with the courage and the generosity of spirit. And I have to thank you all. I've never met Joy's sons before. We just met Angela today. But your generosity in willingly sharing her in those last months of her life with us, is extraordinary. And we can't thank you enough. Because honestly, none of this stuff would have happened had it not been for her. It really wouldn't have. I would never have gotten as involved as I did. I don't think any of us would have been gotten as involved as we did, but she was just such a tremendous leader, and never ever forget it.
Anyway, we want to thank you all for coming today. It just shows how much you love Joy, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sisters.
Let's get this tree back on the truck before the mayor comes.
We'll plant it.